Hello coders, I hope you are coding well. In the previous video, we called change booking status API from our Angular application. And in today's video, we will create an API to get all the reservations by the user ID in our Spring Boot application. So let's get started. So in our Spring Boot application, first of all, we need to create a method in reservation repository. So let's open this class, and in this class we will create a new method, and this method will return page of reservation. And after this we will import this page from spring framework data domain, and for the query we will write find all by user ID. And after this, in the params of this method, we need to pass pageable and user ID. So we will write pageable and we will import it from spring framework data domain, and we will name this as pageable. And after this we will pass long user ID. And with this our method is completed in reservation repository. And after this we will open booking service implementation, and in this class we will start writing a new method, and this method will return reservation response TTO, and we will name this method as get all reservation by user ID. And after this, in the params of this method, we need to accept the user ID and page number. So we will write long and we will name this as user ID. And after this we will mention int and we will name this as page number. And after this, let's open reservation service implementation. And in this class, let's copy the code of get all reservations method. And after this we will go back to the booking service implementation and we will paste the code here. And after this we need to update the repository method call, and instead of find all we will call a method find all by user ID. And after the pageable we need to pass the user ID, so we will write user ID. And after this we need to create this search result per page variable, so we will create this variable and we will set the value as 4. And with this our get all reservations by user ID method is completed. Now let's copy this, and after this we will open booking service and we will paste it here. And after this we need to create an endpoint to call this method, so we will open booking controller, and in this controller we will start writing a new method, and this method will return response entity. And after this we will name this method as get all bookings by user ID. And in the params of this method we need to accept the user ID and the page number. So we will write at the rate path variable annotation, and the data type of this will be long and we will name this as user ID. And after this we will again write at the rate path variable annotation, and the data type of this will be int and we will name this as page number. And in the body of this method we will write a try block, and in this try block we will write a return statement. And after this we will use response entity and we will call a method okay. And in this we will use booking service and we will call a method get all reservations by user ID. And in the params of this method we will pass user ID and page number. And after this we will write a catch block, and in this catch block we will catch exception and we will name this as E. And in this block we will write a return statement and we will use response entity. And after this we will call status method, and in this we will return http status dot internal server error. And after this, to set the message we will call body method, and in this we will pass the message as something went wrong. And at the end we will annotate this method with at the rate get mapping annotation. And for the URL we will set slash booking slash user ID slash page number. And with this our API to get the bookings by the user ID is completed. Now let's run our application. And as you can see, our application is up on port 8080 without any errors. Now let's go to the Postman and let's test this get all bookings API by user ID. And in the Postman, for request type we need to give this as get, and then we need to give the basic URL which is localhost 8080. And after this we need to give the controller URL which is slash API slash customer. And after this we need to give the endpoint URL which is slash bookings. And after this, for the user ID let's give it as 5, and after the user ID let's give the page number as 0. And after this we will open login API call, and in the login API we will give the details of customer, and then let's click on this send button. And as you can see, we got the JWT token for the customer. Now let's copy this token and let's go back to the API call, and in this API let's click on authorization tab, and here for the type let's select bearer token, and after this we will paste the token in this input, and then we will click on this send button. And as you can see, we got 200 OK, and in the response body we got one reservation for this user, and with this we got the pagination data as well. And that's it for today's video. In the next video we will call this get all bookings API from our Angular application.